In this video, I'm going to show the brake bleeding for a 2000 Tundra, along with changing all the gear oil in the rear differential, front differential, and transfer box. So to get started here, we had to truck up on jack stands securely, got the tire off, started bleeding the brakes. I used a Mighty Vac. It's a great tool for vacuum. I used to use the power bleeder to pressurize the system from the reservoir, but I find pulling the vacuum is so much easier. So here I am spraying some deep creep penetrant on here. I want to make sure I don't cause any damage. But obviously successfully to bleed the entire truck, 4 wheels, and the load leveler at the end. Fluid is very black, bluish, had an off smell to it, so I'm very happy that I did replace the fluid. I think it's been 10, 20, 30 years since it's been replaced, who knows. Well, not 30 years, it's only a 24-year-old truck, but it could be original. But it's probably been replaced once or twice. So, the Mighty Vac is a great tool, but it has a very small reservoir, so I had to fill it up a few times. And also, I get nervous. I don't want to draw the reservoir down too low, so I tend to stop before it's even full. So this is me doing it over and over, cycling back, pouring out the old brake fluid, and I would also keep bleeding it until I got a cup of some fresh brake fluid. I wanted to make sure I got it all out, because when you try to look in the tube, it can be a little deceiving. So I found just to pour out the little cup and get a new cup and use that. It's pretty clear if it's old or new. To do the bleeding, it's a 10 millimeter. I was able to use my trusty Snap-on 10 millimeter box-in combination wrench. Worked great. I used it last time. I did a small amount of bleeding, but this time I'm gonna bleed the entire system. Last time I used it on my Camry. It's the same 10 millimeter. So here I am. I'm pumping the vacuum gun and letting out some fluid. It's a very simple system. Wish I'd known about it when I was younger. I like the idea of being able to bleed the brakes without an assistant pumping the brakes. That's always been an issue for me. I've always been doing car maintenance. Kind of when I'm off on alone, doing nothing, is the perfect time to do some car maintenance. If I'm hanging out with someone, I'll just do car maintenance another time. So, had a great weekend doing lots of car maintenance. Really enjoying using all the tools. The brake bleeding is pretty simple. Just use a 10 millimeter, taking the wheels off, 21 millimeter impact gun. So just limited number of tools for the brake bleeding. Mostly this 10 millimeter wrench was the key tool. But doing the gear oil was also a limited number of tools, 24 millimeter wrench and 10 millimeter Allen. Although I found that the 24 millimeter fit a little loose, so I ended up using a 15/16 socket. Fit perfect like a glove, and I had that in my notes in my Haynes manual. So I find that interesting, that sometimes you can get a better fit using a SAE size. So I'm really glad I stocked up on SAE sockets at the swap meet. They came in very handy today. Used my notes, and the 24 felt like it was gonna strip it, even the high quality Koken, so it wasn't a tolerance issue. So I don't understand why Toyota has drain and fill plugs for the gearboxes that fit a 15/16 better than a metric, but I'm not complaining. It worked really good. I was very excited on the transfer case. Um, Forget which one, but had to break out the 2 foot half-inch icon breaker bar. First time I ever used it. Worked like a charm. So it's very rewarding day. I thought the 24 millimeter long extended handle gear wrench would handle it, box end. But put quite a bit of oomph into it, and it would not budge. So back to the toolbox and grab the Icon 2 foot breaker bar, and that easily got the bolt loose. So it was very exciting to use the tools that I've been stocking up on and wondering if I'm, even going to use these tools or not. But now with a plethora of tools doing a job, it goes like a breeze. You've got all kinds of options, from ratchets to sockets to breaker bars, and even just having tons of funnels and secondary containment and containers. Using the snap-on wrench gives you the confidence to, that you're not going to strip your bleeder valve bolts. So, I'm very happy with all my tool purchases, from these secondhand snap-on wrenches to these new Icons and new Kokens. It's just been a great experience. Working on the car now is just super relaxing. I'm going to leave the rest of this brake bleeding silent and speak back up when it comes to an overview of the tools used on the jobs. So here's some of the tools I used on the job. A brush with some grease lightning to clean up the bolts. These are wrenches I anticipate on using on the fuel filters that haven't come in due to the blue screen of death issue. But I'm hoping to get those next week. These bottom drawers on this Mastercraft toolbox just don't open smoothly, so I stopped using them. But I hope to fix them soon or get to the bottom of that. So here's the 10mm snap-on wrench I use to bleed the brakes. I tried to incorporate this ratcheting 10mm Husky, but I realized it didn't switch back and forth, so I just stuck with the snap-on. I realized you don't need a ratcheting wrench when bleeding brakes, would probably make it more difficult. This is my tow toolbox in the truck that I'm kind of reconfiguring, realizing it's not quite working the way I want. Jack stands, wheel chocks, old headlights. This is the Mighty Vac pistol vacuum thing I used. Works great, very happy with this product. Comes with all kinds of tubes and attachments, and so far I think I've just used the most rudimentary attachments and basically use it to vacuum out liquid and bleed brakes. Here's kind of my little setup, draining out the last of the brake fluid in the tubes, temporary, holding it in a water jug, but I'll get those to more appropriate containers later on. Here's the gear oil I'm planning to put in right now that I'm done bleeding the brakes. Got the 24mm wrenches out. Getting pretty excited about bleeding the brakes, put it up on the ramps, just put up a jack stand for safety. It's not quite level in the driveway there, but it should be fine. Pretty excited, got to use this pipe I used to use on my ratchet, my Allen, 10mm Allen key. Those front differential plugs when they're tight. The old Koken 4753N, quickly becoming one of my favorite ratchets for sure. I used the gear wrench, 24mm box end long handle wrench. Didn't quite have enough oomph. I had to break out the Icon 1/2-inch breaker bar. Here's a Performance Tools 15/16 and the Koken Zeo 24mm socket. I found the 15/16 fit perfectly snug and decided to use that. So I was putting tremendous amount of torque on it with this 1/2-inch Icon breaker bar.